Rather than criticizing a religion, why don't we learn what are your objective proof and evidence for your faith that you can share with us? Objective conversations, isn't it? So we're not going to criticize your religion, and we don't expect you to criticize ours. So what objective evidence do you have for your faith? You can share. Does Christianity have any objective evidence for it?
MI5.
No, he's ignoring us.
He's MI5, be careful.
So do you have any objective evidence that you share that a non-Christian can look into why Christianity is
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's not.
I mean, one of the so what is the reason why are Muslims becoming Christians in huge numbers now across Iran and around all over the world?
That's not my question, if you don't mind.
And you know what I find? When I ask them, it's got nothing to do with us talking to them. They have a revelation directly from God themselves as they're reading the New Testament. God speaks to them. Like the woman who said, I dare to call his father. And it's amazing, it's amazing. I mean, so in a sense, the powerful Western countries that are Christian, not really Christian now, they're not having any influence over this massive conversion to Christianity. It's not happening because of any English person or American person. They're doing nothing. They're just, in Iran, they're seeing how bankrupt. It is so bankrupt. The government is so bankrupt and so destructive that thousands of young Muslims are your age, thousands. I was going to bring some today. I met them all. They're all in Luton. They're technically asylum seekers, but I was amazed. Nearly all of them have become Christians. They said, "Oh no, we don't follow Islam anymore. We left Islam. We're following Jesus." And I was just amazed, and I said, "How? Who told you?" No one told us. We just.
Brother, if I may, because the question I asked this gentleman, I'm sure very intelligent gentleman.
Yeah.
So I asked you, what objective evidence do you have in Christianity for its veracity as it being an authentic divine religion? And what I heard you just telling us is about how Muslims had some vision and revelation from God directly.
Yeah,
so this is not what I'm asking you.
No,
I'm asking you, in Christianity, irrespective of whether you talk about may I finish my question?
Yeah, sure.
Irrespective of whether what you think about Hinduism and Buddhism and Zionism, whatever, Christianity on its own, what objective evidence do you have for the veracity, for the truthfulness of your religion that you can share with a non-Christian?
Well, first of all, I would say the resurrection of Jesus from the dead is proved even by people who are not Christians. They actually said clearly this man rose from the dead. So the evidence of Christ being Lord and being God is the resurrection. The resurrection is absolutely key to the proof that Jesus Christ is Lord, and He is God. And we respect. I know I have many Muslim friends. I live with Muslim people in my street.
Any other evidence? So you talked about resurrection. We can talk about. We can have a discussion about it.
Yeah, I would say the resurrection.
Else?
I would say the fact that the changed lives of people's lives are changed when they genuinely become Christians, and that you can't explain that, but they. What do you think? Yeah. But from what we've seen, there is no question that people don't become perfect, do they? They don't become perfect. They have problems, but they have clearly there is a purpose for living that happens when someone. It happened to me. I became a Christian not because my parents are Christians.
Any other objective evidence?
Objective evidence is only part of our faith. Objective evidence, the resurrection from the dead is critical.
So you mentioned about
the scriptures. If you read the whole Bible, the Torah,
what objective evidence from the scripture?
Isaiah 50, the book of Isaiah.
No. What is the evidence from it?
Well, it speaks of Jesus, the Messiah coming. It speaks of the Trinity, my friend. So if God is always speaking of...
Slow down a bit.
Yeah.
So you have it. So this is the third example of an objective evidence in which you're pointing to Isaiah, the scripture,
and Genesis.
It talks about Jesus coming, and that is an objective evidence. How is this an objective evidence? First of all, do you understand what we mean by objective evidence.
Yeah, that is objective, but in Christianity, you have to embrace it by faith.
That's what I'm asking for.
So
I didn't ask you how we become faithful.
Hearing.
Sorry, I didn't ask you, my friend. What's your name?
You're going to give me some help now. She's my theological expert.
Sure. What is your name?
John.
John, I am Mansur. It's a pleasure speaking to you. Pleasure speaking to you, John.
Yeah.
I'm not interested at this very moment in terms of what reasons you accept as a Christian the faith of Christianity.
Yeah.
I was more interested in what objective evidence you as a Christian can share with a non-Christian for the veracity, for the truthfulness, for the authenticity of the Christian religion. And you shared with me so far, you said resurrection.
Yes.
Then you talked about how genuinely people get their lives changed.
Yes.
And then you talked about in the scripture, like in Isaiah and in Genesis, there's something there that points to an objective evidence. So what is that? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to first listen to these types of evidence, and perhaps you can go through each one and see whether they're actually objective evidence or not. So what exactly in Genesis and Isaiah that proves that this is objectively an evidence for the veracity of Christianity?
Well, it depends, first of all, if you believe... Marie! Oh, you got to go? Okay, coming back. She's asking me... sorry.
I'm asking a very interesting question about objective evidence.
Come on, John, let's go.
John.
Do you want to be back in a minute?
John.
Run away.
You're just talking about Christianity, so you can run away.
Right. So just to summarize what we have just witnessed here. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. We've noticed a Christian gentleman who was having a discussion with few Muslim friends. So we just came to see what the discussion was about. And then I asked him something that is very critical and crucial for every people, for every faith. What objective evidence do you have for the truthfulness, for the veracity, for the authentic divine origin of your religion? Because you should be able to share with others besides your own faith community why you believe in this religion. There has to be some objective evidence for your belief. So the gentleman gave 3 examples so far, or 2.5. I'll tell you what these are. One of them was resurrection. Because Christ resurrected from the dead, that proves Christianity is true. But what objective evidence do we have for Christ have risen from the dead? Is there any objective evidence? Are there any scholars who study Christianity, Christian history? They say we accept Christ had risen from the dead. You won't find anyone apart from the believers within the Christian community. No academic, genuine scholar would say there are objective evidence for the resurrection of Christ. The resurrection of Christ is merely a faith claim. It's a faith claim, meaning they merely believe it by faith without any evidence. Because there is no evidence for, if we ask, what is the evidence that Christ rose from the dead? Did anyone certify that he was dead? Number one, the community testified and we can verify their testimony, they were truthful. And did they even see that he was raised from while he was dead? And do we have this kind of accounts? There is none. And because he knew that there wasn't anything to substantiate this claim, so did his friends had to be dragged away. That was number one, resurrection. Genuinely changing the life of a believer. How is this an objective evidence? We say Muslims changing their life genuinely for the good once they return to practice of Islam or they embrace Islam. We see other people from other religious faith communities, whether they may be Buddhist or atheist or even a Harry Potter reader. It changes their life genuinely because of some of the things they read, understand and take in from what they read and what they learn and experience. So this is merely a subjective experience, not an objective evidence. And what was there within Genesis and Isaiah that provides objective evidence for the veracity of Christianity? He wasn't able to demonstrate any because he was pulled away. So we would not even count that at all. So as you realized, in Speaker's Corner, when we ask people even to share their own belief based on evidence and proof, they are unable to do so. Maybe this is a gentleman who is not able to articulate his belief. So maybe perhaps we can find someone who are scholarly, who is knowledgeable, and there must be someone in Speaker's Corner who can defend their religion and establish with proof and evidence why Christianity is true. So we should walk along and have a look. So this is the end of part 1. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لكم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. See you on part 2 when we find someone who can establish the objective evidence.